all the time while working as a newspaper correspondent and school district communications director, which also incorporated all of their photography and video production. My work-life balance was a ride. I felt like God was leading me to regain control by starting my own business, and that was confirmed with an unexpected check I received in the mail from a friend. It symbolized reassurance that He would provide in unexpected ways. So I resigned from both jobs. Then I got cold feet and asked the newspaper if I can stay on. Well, 2 months later, their budget was cut, and so was I. Had I listened like Stacia Crawford, it wouldn't have hurt. She's about to explain how listening to God's voice navigates her through life. I'm Claudia Parker, and 5 Minutes of Faith starts now.
I'm Stacia Crawford, media and visibility strategist, TV news producer, and storyteller, and I'm here on 5 Minutes of Faith with Claudia Parker. A time in my life when I knew God was real to me was when my youngest son, Emmanuel, was born. Working as a TV news producer, you work all kinds of crazy hours. I was getting up, going to work at 4 or 5 in the morning. And on this particular day, I got up to go to work. And when I stood up, there was just fluid everywhere. And I knew that my water had broken. I'm like, no, we can't have this baby today. He's still 2 months from his due date. I ended up having to stay in the hospital, literally on my back in the bed for a month and a half. And this particular night at like 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm feeling these pains. They took me into the emergency room to have an emergency C-section. And my husband was there and told me that our son had been born and that he was in the ICU. They even told us that they did not, I can't remember the exact words that they used, but basically they were telling us he probably wouldn't go home, which was the most devastating thing I could have heard. But I also heard a voice saying, they're just doctors, they're not God. And God said to me, he's going to be fine. He had a condition called CCAM where his lungs were literally covered in cysts. And the doctors performed the surgery where they had to remove one of his lungs. But God had already told me he was going to be okay. I knew my son was going to be okay. And he came out of surgery. He was in the hospital for about 2 months. And he actually came home on Valentine's Day. He's strong, he's powerful, he's such an inspiration. It's been 20 years, and I share that story with so many other parents because I've had so many people who I've seen have children who've been in the same situation where the doctors have given up hope. And the only thing you have to cling to is your faith. That's it. That's all I had, because the doctors were telling me, don't get your hopes up. We've never seen a case like this where the child has survived. I think that God speaks to us in so many different ways. Sometimes it could be through something that I read or something that I hear. And I think that He often will send even other people. And I do believe in signs and wonders. Recently I even had an incident where God spoke to me, believe it or not, through the craziest thing, a blue pineapple. And I had been, in my career for over 30 years, and I had decided that I just wasn't satisfied with it anymore, and I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something more. I knew God had more for me. And I said, God, if it's really you telling me it's time to go, show me a sign. And so I picked the craziest thing. I said, show me a blue pineapple, and I'll know that that's you speaking to me. So this particular day, I get up and I go to this open house, and I walked into this house, and the house is beautiful. It's stunning. And I walked into the kitchen, and on the shelf was a little blue ceramic pineapple. And when I looked at it, I fell out laughing. And the realtor's looking at me like, is this lady crazy? What's so funny? And I looked at that blue pineapple and I said, Lord, I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. I know this is you. And within 2 weeks, I handed in my resignation. I left my job. I, embarked on my fulfilling career, and I'm able to help so many people in so many different ways. In my 30 years, I've met so many people who have incredible inspirational stories, but just don't have a platform to share them. And so many people don't recognize that television is a powerful, powerful tool that is accessible to them. And so I basically help people to recognize where are those outlets where they can share their story, their inspirational messages, whether it's to help people improve their lives, improve their marriages, help their families, make more money, grow spiritually. Whatever their message is, whatever they're called to do, I help them and invite them onto different platforms all over the world. I feel like a lot of people think that, some things you chalk it up to coincidence or, it's just that gut feeling that we have. Sometimes it's just God tapping you on the shoulder. And I think I have learned to just kind of tune into it and really pay attention.